this has been a long time coming, and I'm so glad that Factory International has made this opportunity possible. Terence, thank you so much for joining us on filmeshilmy.com. It has been a long wish of mine to interview you, and I'm glad we could do this today.
It's a pleasure, likewise. And to all the viewers of Filme Shilmy, yes, those who saying hi and have a Chumeshwari year ahead.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, it's nice to be a bit of part of the Terence Kitoli in that sense. So, right. I think it's wonderful. The Accountants is a wonderful spectacle that is taking place in England at the moment. It's a fusion of ultra tech technology with amazing choreography, with Chinese and Indian fusion that's there with breathtaking touches. I think when it comes to fusions, Terence, I think you definitely symbolize that whole aspect. So I think when it comes to you actually deciding and coming on board for this production, how much of an instant yes was it?
Absolutely. Like it was like I was waiting for this moment, and it was like God sent, because I've been waiting there was this creative block inside me, feeling like this void for a very long time, because I felt I was commercially successful, but I also wanted to kind of nurture the artistic spirit. And I have done that in the country, but not internationally. And I felt that in some way I needed a fresh lease of life, to be very honest, to allow this creative flow to happen in a way that could be internationally recognized. And when Keith Khan, the director, approached me with Factory International and Aviva Studios sponsoring this massive budget, it goes into $1 million, because it's
Whoa.
India choreographer and a Chinese choreographer. From Chinese is one of the most commercially successful and very artistically oriented, Shishen. And then from India, I'm representing my country, and I represent both spectrums, the commercial and the artistic side. So Keith Khan wanted the best of both worlds, and he got us together, and we had to kind of, in our satellite countries, India and China, in a satellite way, work in satellite conditions, where we never came together till this last 3 weeks. So we had prepared our choreography for the same music. We're going to be dancing on the same stage. It's not a jugal bandi. It's looking like almost we are one company. So her highly trained dancers, my highly trained dancers from India, and to create this production, which is so unique because it's a combination, as you rightly said, about visual arts, music, dance, and most importantly, there's a very, very big emotional element with accountancy and India and China. Because if you go to see at the back end offices of UK, US, Australia, it's always the Indians and the Chinese who are controlling, not controlling, but rather working on the data and collecting data, and using that to kind of progress and make things happen for the entire country, whether it's UK, sorry, whether it's UK or otherwise. So in so many ways, this story is such a beautiful story of all accountants. We're reduced to just numbers and digits, and how we have to kind of get out of this, and how we have to face the fact that we need to kind of be seen not as just numbers and polls or Google data, but we are actually human beings with a heart and emotion. So it's a very, very beautiful story. It's touching. And when I got a call to do this and to develop it, because it was just an idea, we had to actually develop it. So all our views and thoughts are all in it. So in many ways, I feel creatively satisfied, and I feel this is the beginning of my journey internationally, especially when it comes to artistic productions.
Oh, bravo. It sounds really exciting. In fact, I think the way you've described it actually sounds very exciting because जब हम accounting की बात करते हैं, maths की बारे में बात करते हैं, I mean, it was for a lot of us South Asians and Indians, maths is quite a tricky subject to sort of go over, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think in
But
terms of,
the Western world thinks that we are the best. See, from the
yeah,
Western point of view, they think, oh, Asian, they must be super good at maths, they must be super good at computers. There's this whole concept, and which is true. And we have taken a lot of we have come to this country and prospered. But at the end of the day, it's just that. And we are more than just that. We are people with human beings and feelings. And the story is basically about how the accountancy, the people behind, and it's also the parallel stories of few people who are mixed, because it's also second and third generation of Chinese and second and third generation of Indian born in UK who are struggling with their identity,
hmm,
because that's the story of two people who are on the phone talking to each other, and their story gets enacted by us. So it's about the Asian identity, which is Chinese, and Indian identity, where the boy is Chinese and the auntie is Indian, and they're talking to each other and they're connected with each other. And it's so beautiful to see how the second and the third generation are really struggling with the fact that who are they? Are they from UK because they're born and brought up here? but culturally they have, roots from India or China. So this sense of identity and this how people box people, in UK they're boxed as Asian, and when they come to our country, they're like, no, but you're not Asian enough
British.
because you are British, your accent is different. So the sense of belonging, this no man's land, is what the story is all about.
It's so true, and I think I love that because I think we British Asians do definitely have a bit of that identity crisis, because like you
Yeah,
you
yeah.
mentioned, there is that, but I think it's quite synonymous in a way, Terence, with you, because
Yeah.
I think I was watching a podcast of you and you were describing your life, and obviously your Hindi is amazing, and I think the way जिस तरह से आपने वार्तालाप करते हो हिंदी में और जिस तरह से आप अपने आप
Nice.
को एक्सप्रेस करते हो वो बहुत ही सुनने और देखने में मजा आता है because obviously there was at one point आपका हिंदी का चिंदी हो गया था, right? And
Exactly.
kind of went over, and so in a way
Yeah.
it's like you have, even though you are Christian, but you are fully Desi at heart. So
Yeah.
again, that whole idea of identity, do you feel like there were areas of you that tapped into you when you were choreographing for these pieces as well?
Absolutely, because when I came to America to study dance way back, when I collected my money and I had my pocket money, and not pocket money, but I earned my money and I kind of went to study dance. I already wanted to study dance, and I really felt that it was such a culture shock for me. A, B is like, oh, but how come your English is so good? Are you from India or from America? And when I came to UK, also it's like, oh, but you don't sound like an Indian. So do I need to talk like an Indian and make you believe that I can talk? It's just the idea of Indianness is just such a stereotype, and all these stereotypes sometimes is very confusing. Plus, my name is Terence Lewis, so half the time I go, "Are you really sure you're Indian? Is this your pseudonym name?" It's like it's like some Punjabis have a Christian name the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
way. It's
yeah.
like, am I Punjabi or somebody who has changed my name? Maybe I'm Tarvinder Singh and made it a Terence or something like that. So no, if you look at the history of India, we were invaded by Portuguese in Goa, and my forefathers come from Goa. So
Absolutely.
you know, but I am born and brought up in India and Mumbai, in the slums of Mumbai. So for me, Hindi, I grew up speaking Hindi, but I didn't speak so much because I went to a Catholic school. But when I went to teach, when I went to start, dancing, rather, or when joined the industry, that's when I realized, God, I need to speak the language, and now I need to bring it back. So I had to really revisit, because I remember being shamed for my Hindi and not being able to express myself. And then there was this moment of like, this is a job that I really love, and if I don't work on it, it's gonna go away to the next best person, because nobody's waiting for you. So I really had to kind of brush up and really say, okay, I love this job. I really love what I do. I really love the kids who are dancing for me. If I could be able to, in a way, speak in a way that can really help their choreographies or their careers bloom, that would be an effort worth putting into. So yeah.
Mhm. And I think, you've definitely seen a lot of hardship, I think, in your life, right? Like, I mean, like you said, you were born and brought up in a chawl. Uh, Success hasn't, obviously, it didn't come very easy to you. I mean, I know at one point you were like, what, a very expensive trainer, and you trained like some of the elite classes of Hindi cinema at
That's
some
true.
point. And then obviously Lagaan happened for you, and then slowly, slowly
Yeah.
you kind of evolved as this really huge choreographer and popular choreographer. But how does the Terence Lewis of today, who's sitting here talking about Factory International, a very ambitious project internationally, how does the Terence of today look back at that hardship? Do you look at it with a lot of regrets and maybe शायद अगर ये होता तो ज़्यादा बेहतर होता, or how do you react to it?
I genuinely feel that I'm very happy that I was born in a very poor family, because I never took anything for granted. And, I don't know what struggle is, because that is a part of my DNA. And there was no question of complaining or saying, oh, why did this person have more, or being a victim. It was like, this is the reality.
Hmm.
And my mother said, this is your reality and you will embrace it. This is what you've chosen to. You're born to make this journey. You can look at it both ways. Either the glass is half full or half empty, or you can just be grateful you have a glass. So many ways. For me, I think I do not say I struggle, because struggle would be those people who feel they deserve better and they're not getting it. I knew from the very day when I was growing up that even if you work hard, you will not be rewarded immediately. You will have to be consistent. You may not get your first breaks like other people do, simply because that is your journey. Once you accept where you come from and where you are from. And then you decide that, okay, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm not going to worry about the product, but I'm going to enjoy the process. And whether the success comes or not, I'm going to enjoy the process, not the product. Because I realize many times when I reach for the product, and I do sometimes have achieved what I have achieved, and I'm like, yeah, but doesn't taste so sweet as the journey of the process. When you're in creation, I don't know whether this is true for me or for anybody else, but when you're creatively involved, that energy and that tension, where you don't know how the final product will be, just gives you an adrenaline rush. It's right now, I have a very massive adrenaline rush, and I am like buzzing with ecstasy because I'm like, when will this final take shape and when people will see it? And when we thought about this in October, and now all of those ideas, shapes, and pictures are finally going to take shape, and the idea is going to come through. The story that we want to say, will it come through dance, without the words, without the dialogues? So for me, this itself is a high, and I'm really, really, Terence Lewis, who's here, I do not have any regrets. I feel whatever happens, happen as the time when you are right, when you're ready, when you are vibrating in a certain frequency. I do realize that I should have gotten it before, but I didn't. Probably there's so many things that you need for this job: the maturity, the ability to see things differently, the ability to, my temperament probably is not suited to kind of get certain things at a certain time, because when you get the opportunity, you have to go up. If you get the opportunity and then you again reverse back, that means you got it too soon, and temperamentally you may have not been right for it. Sometimes you may be skill-wise right, but temperamentally you may not be ready for something, because sometimes your attitude is much more important than your aptitude.
Oh, very true. Yes, so right.
So you also need to be in the mind frame to be saying, okay, when I get this, and this is a collaborative work. It's not ki meri marzi chalegi. I have a creative director who's Keith Khan. I have Sheshan, who's a choreographer, who have to discuss everything. I have my own assistant, not my assistant, but she's also my co-choreographer, Mahrukh. She's also choreographing with me as my partner. So I have to kind of, I'm now in that space where I'm not ki meri marzi chalegi, because I have so many years, it's always been, I'm the director, I'm the choreographer, whatever. But now it's like, how do you collaborate? And for collaboration, you need to have your ego down. You have to kind of look at the bigger picture. So the maturity for me also has come at this stage of my life to understand these things, and grow. And I think it's all comes at the moment when you're ready temperamentally.
Sure. But I think when you began your career, and when I guess when contemporary sort of got its feet, I think with Dance India Dance, which was obviously such a big game changer when it comes to reality shows, which I will touch upon very shortly. I do feel though, however, Terence, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I kind of feel like the whole essence of dancing has become a bit more commercial. I feel people don't actually focus on the artistic, on the technicality side, which I think you very wonderfully pick up in as a judge on reality shows, because you're the D of dancing, right? Like there's so many technicalities you're able to pick up, and you understand the backstory and the background of the genres. What do you think about this whole commercialization of dancing? Do you think this whole sort of process, I mean, not to discredit it or put it down in any way or form, but do you think this whole Instagram culture, the whole social media culture, is perhaps in a way tainting the actual sanctity of the art as well?
Well, the good thing about, I like to see everything little positive side. Well, so there's over commercialization of everything and oversimplification of everything, and nobody wants to really think, nobody really wants to pause, everybody wants it quick and fast in 15 seconds. So really, what can you see? You need to kind of look at dance and give it moment, or any kind of art, not just dance, but the culture is going so fast and everything is like swipe, 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 swipe fast. So I get that, but what I do like about the good point about this culture is the fact that at least dancers are getting a chance to show their work, where otherwise they have to wait for one producer and one TV show where there are billions of people. So today, the access to people and probably to fame. Now that's the problem. The fame may be a little bit problem, because it comes and it goes and it vacillates, and then people go into depression when they don't see their numbers growing or when they don't see the adulation following. So then people have started to kind of do things only for fame, rather than, saying, okay, I have my work and I would like to put it out there, and I want to share my work and share my ideas and, move people and make them feel things. Now it's only about Can people praise me and love me? And I always tell dancers, you're not here to show your skill and get wawai. You're here to dance so that people can be moved inside and not just say, "Ah, kya baat beta, shabash." The shabash has to go with, beta, जैसे तुमने डांस किया ना, मैंने कुछ महसूस किया, मेरे अंदर कुछ हिल गया, आज मैं उसी चीज को देखकर सोच रहा हूँ अपने लाइफ के बारे में. I want that rather than, oh my god, तुसी तो great हो, तुम तो इतने, क्या टर्न मारा है, क्या लिफ्ट है, क्या लाइन है. So the technicality is great, but the emotional quality is also important. So what is happening is that we're only going into quick skills and quick, fun things and drama and all of those things, which somehow we can never be run away from it. And that's why we need a show which can be put in a theater like Aviva Studios and Factory International. People can come to see a full 1 hour and not 15 seconds, where people get a time to get away from the life and get sit in a studio or a theater which is dark, and you get into the performance where dancers for 6 months have been worked to just make sure that this 1 hour is so rich that you are moved. The biggest important message for all three of us, Mahrukh, myself, and Sheshan, was how can we make people feel and move when they come and not just look at the dancers and say, oh my God, look at the dancers, they're incredibly talented. Yeah, that's great. But we need to go beyond that and make people feel things and make them feel something inside. And that is what we're looking at and we struggle with. And it is always going to be an eternal struggle because the overall IQ of the masses is not going up, it's going down with the way, the Instagram and social media is. It's just, numbing you and dumbing you down. It's numbing you and dumbing you down, which I agree. But there is a good point is that people are at least looking at dances saying, my God, today dancers are having some value. They're also earning money. So there is a good side to it. It may not be the artistic side is not being fulfilled, but financially it's paying for certain people. It's making ends meet. The dancers are becoming influencers, so they're making more money. So in so many ways where things were not available for opportunities and, ways to survive were a big problem. Now people are thriving. So we got to look at the big picture also.
No, very true. And I think also, I'm going to pick up that point about fame because obviously Dancing the Dance gave you a recognition like no other. In fact, to you, Geeta, ma'am, and to Rem also.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, for me, that would always be my favorite judge trial ever in Indian TV history. I think it was so special, and I can't believe 15 years have passed. It's interesting because again, when that show was created, there was supposed to have like top choreographers. Obviously, at that point in time, you had to choreograph like so many acts on and throughout the week. So it was quite a stressful period. But I think when you look at the Terence Lewis that began to the Terence Lewis now, do you ever find it? I mean, this is a bit of a profound question, but do you ever find there's a bit of a dichotomy between the fame that you kind of receive? Like, do you kind of look in the mirror and just feel like, ye kabhi main tha, ya kabhi main nahi tha? Do you ever feel that sort of a identity crisis here as well?
Yeah, I think it happens so many times because I'm never happy with my work, and people come and say, "Beta, mujhe bahut acha laga ye, mujhe bahut acha laga wo," and I'm like, "Are they talking about me? Like, is this me?" Because I'm really not happy with myself, and the inner critique is always on self-sabotage mode. Like, no, it's not so great, and in a way, it's good because it keeps me on my toes and keeps me grounded. But yes, there have been many of those moments where I somehow don't know how that happened, because we were mainstream, we were not we were just choreographers somewhere working in the background. We were not reached that top, and suddenly, because the big choreographers couldn't hack the fact that they would have to also choreograph and judge and give so much of their time, we lucked out on that opportunity and we took it up. We were just a rising down, choreographers on the scene. They were already established choreographers, So we got that opportunity to make a very important impact, and not just about dance, because there was a show called Boogie Woogie, but it had a certain format. So we have to give credit to Boogie Woogie because they started
100%.
they started the trend of dance shows, but it went only to a certain limit. Then we broke that threshold and moved it forward, and showing contemporary, which has never been seen before, or showing Bollywood salsa, and showing all kinds of community, or even aerial, which I showed in the first season. So there were many acts that, because I came from a corporate background, and because I had traveled abroad and I had seen so much of Cirque du Soleil and a lot of things that had influenced me and impacted me. So in so many ways, I was able to bring that to television, which I would have never been able to do it in films, because they were like, no, films have got a certain, formula, and that formula only works. Whereas in the dance show, they were like, okay, this is a carte blanche. Do what you want. Be most creative every week, and we're going to keep, judging you as a choreographer and the contestant. So it was an onerous task, and it really was really fulfilling for me, because probably that was something I was looking for, because films were not fulfilling me. It was a television show like Dance India Dance that really, really fulfilled me creatively. The challenging part was judging the show, because it involved so much of tension between the three judges and the contestants, and that had its own drama. But I really loved going back to the studio and really working and creating and choreographing and mentoring, because there was so much involvement with your contestant. They were not just anybody. I remember I was emotionally bankrupt by the end of every season. I'm telling you, I was like, is this the reason why I don't want to be married and have children? Because my God, I was devastated.
Yeah.
Devastated. Every season I was emotionally bankrupt, because I had to work with these kids, make them shine, believe in them, no matter what talent they had. I had to believe in them, because if I didn't believe in them, they would fall apart. So mentoring them, coaching them, mentally guiding, being their psychologist, being their parent, being their coach and teacher, and being strict at the same time, and giving them the needed impetus to move forward. It used to take the life out of me. And it was still a very beautiful process, but it was very emotionally draining after a point. So I'm very happy to go back to a place where I just have to come, judge, yet be sensitive and kind, and be sensible about how I'm judging them, but not destroy anybody's faith or confidence, because people come there with a lot of faith, and nobody deserves to be insulted or spoken down rudely on national television, and something which is going to be staying forever. Even if he died, that episode will be there on ever. His children, my children, I don't know, whatever. People are going to watch it forever. So why would you humiliate somebody without giving it a thought? And never abuse your power just because you're a judge. So that's very clear for me, that even if I have to be strict with somebody and define dance, but there's a way of talking to somebody. And also, where are you coming from? Are you coming to show off that you know more? Or are you coming from a place where saying, hey, I do know more from you as a teacher or a mentor, but I'm not going to try to put you down. I'm just going to help you to grow, because there are certain things you need to know. And I can't mollycoddle you, because this is a competition.
Yeah.
But there's a way of talking to somebody. You can't dismiss them, because they're willing to work hard. They just need a way to move forward. So I always am very careful about how I'm speaking to my contestant when they are making mistakes, or they are, falling short of something. So there's a way of talking to somebody, and you always talk with a certain sense of care and love when you're being extremely, बारीकियों में जाते वक्त कुछ चीजें आप बाल का खाल निकालना, because that's what you're getting paid for. You're not getting paid to be a nice judge and be so sweet, and because there are judges like that who are glamorous, and they're meant to be sweet and kind and motherly, and your job is to be technical and be you're hired because you studied dance, and now you need to give the producer back the money, and at the same time not be an asshole.
Yeah, absolutely. No, so true. And I think you do that very well, to be honest. Like, and I think I've always said it, like, for me, if there's anyone who's apt at judging any dance show, it's you in Indian television. I genuinely say that because it's always so good. And I think you bring a very good energy on the sets. And I've always felt that. I think it's remarkable with some of the films you've choreographed. I think for me, one of your highlights definitely probably will be Ram-Leela, for sure. I mean,
Yes.
it was a big Bhansali canvas. I think so. Correct me here. It was two songs you choreographed, right? It was Ang
No,
Laga.
just
Was
one,
it
just Ang
one?
Laga De. Yeah,
Just
yeah,
Ang Laga
yeah,
that you choreographed.
yeah.
What gives you that confidence as a choreographer to make sure you can pull it off? Because I think there, if I try to do the Ang Laga De step, I think I'll probably end up burning myself. So, how does one
Eh,
really get that confidence, as a choreographer and make sure you're in command and know what you're doing?
yeah. So firstly, when you're working with Sanjay Leela Bhansali, he hates using technology. It has to be original. So if it's called a dhanuchi, in which
Okay.
there is dhuan. Okay, there's coal, actual coal. So there's coal, and the incense, is coming through. So you can nowadays create the incense and the dhoop on AI. You can do it in post. For him, it's not like that. It's like, I want to see it live. And he had given me a reference of Na jao saiya chura ke bhaiya Okay, Kasam Tumhari, and there also Meena Kumari is taking, Dhoop, and she has a very seductive look, and the eyes are red. So he had given me a reference of what he likes to watch all these Meena Kumari films. Sanjay sir is very
Oh yeah.
obsessed with Meena Kumari, Pakiza, and of course, why not? It's a great reference point in terms of, the way it was shown. So he had this in mind, and he said, we need to create this beautiful moment again in a more, because there the artists were limited, but you have a Deepika and you have me. So show me your best work. So, we were experimenting with it, and we were just going with it and seeing, so that the thing doesn't fall and the hoop comes in the right time. And it has to be one shot, and it has to come, the hoop at the right time has to come out from her hair. And she has to kind of invite Ranveer Singh to, and basically it's their first night. It's a honeymoon night. But at the same time, from the story point of view, their families have both killed their brothers. One of the brothers in each family is dead. And they're both hunting for them, and they both decided to elope and get married. And that's their first night. And at the same time, they're sad. At the same time, she wants to consummate the marriage. So in so many ways, it's such a contradiction of emotion. And, she's also sad. At the same time, she wants to, tell Ranveer to forget everything and let's, move forward. So in so many ways, this was such an important point of how to tell that story, how to keep the seduction not overt. It cannot be like, okay, come on, let's make love. But it was more like there was pain in the seduction, and there was a feeling of almost like, loss, and yet in that loss there was, they were going to create something together. So all of those things had to be kept in mind emotionally, and in terms of the choreography, it couldn't be loud, it couldn't be aggressive, it had to be sensual but very soft. So it took us at least, half a day to figure it out. And I showed Sanjay sir many combinations, and then he said, keep this, keep this, keep this. And then we said, okay, now recreate this. So I had to take a lot of combination, and then we had to do it on Deepika, and Deepika picked it up like this. She was very smart. She's quite agile, and it was a lot of the thing in the back of the body. So it's not just the wrist, which generally happens with classical dance. It was using the scapula, which is the back. So it was using the back of the scapula to kind of create that shape, as opposed to just this, which anybody can do, and it's easy. It was a little technically different because we wanted that beautiful, line of the body. So, but that's Sanjay sir. He understands his aesthetics. He's a choreographer. He done it and came out beautifully.
But no,
Yeah.
it sounds really
Yeah.
amazing. And I think it's great. And I think when we talk about one Ram-Leela, but people often forget that to get that one Ram-Leela, there's like years of struggle, right? Like, as
Yes.
I say, you can't really put all the eggs on your basket.
Yeah.
When you don't get that big Bollywood gig or that big sort of opportunity, how does one survive in such an industry?
I really find it hard to answer that question, because for me, I've never had big dreams. I only focus on what I have. I don't say कि मुझे ये करना है, वो करना है. I keep working, I enjoy, and somehow I invite people to come and take me. I've been always had the opportunity of being asked. So be it when I taught my first dance class, be it when I had to be asked to teach Madhuri, it was she who called me personally, to do personal training with her. My first film, Lagaan, happened through Reena Datta, whom I was teaching as a fitness trainer. And she said, hey, I never dreamt that I kind of had an idea that, be nice, but left it. Like I didn't put my energy there. I just said, okay, it'll be lovely when it happens, you'll see. But right now I have so much on my plate, and let me focus on this. And I think the key, I don't know about other people, but in my life is in the moment, are you going to be happy, or are you going to be angry, or, sulking, or feeling like a victim? I think for me, I've always felt very blessed. Even though I had very little, I've always felt very, very blessed. I have this at least, and I'm going to enjoy this. Let's not worry about more. And then somehow the opportunity comes, and then I say, okay, let's do it. And it just happens. So everything just happens. I think if you don't get it, maybe it's not your time. And just be happy with what you have and bring joy in that, because when you bring joy, I think it brings in people to you. When you vibrate with a certain frequency, when you're in this element of celebrating, like I didn't like a lot of the times teaching, the ladies how to lose weight, because it was like such a hectic job. It was like I had 6 personal training students back to back, and physically it was tiring. Emotionally, they would tell me so many things about their love lives or whatever. And I was like, do I go with all this information? I need to just find some hours to sleep because I'm very hungry because, I'm going from one class to the other. But I realized that they needed me at that point of time. So just being there physically, emotionally, and just doing what you're doing and really doing with a lot of sincerity and being grateful for at least the fact that you have a job and that you're doing what you love, at least, and not doing something that you don't like. So if you love what you do, then there's no reason to complain and be bitter. But if you're doing something else and then you feel little, I can understand your pain.
Sure.
But if you are a dancer and you're saying, but I'm not getting to it, then, but at least you're getting to do what you love to do. The money will be less, but there are so many people out there who have to do something else.
Oh, so true. Yeah.
So, just identifying that is super important. The gratefulness.
Gratitude. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think on a final note, Terence, because we are running out of time, but honestly, I could speak to you for hours. Like you said, this whole Factory International gig is such a huge opportunity for you. It's something which you're getting to step a bit outside of your comfort zone as well. Giving. Going forward, what do you think would be the next benchmark, or what do you think might actually help you to expand your horizons or push the envelope for you as a performer?
Well, I'm very much looking forward to the next set of my life as an actor for the next 10 years. I really feel that that's something that I left behind when I was in my 20s because I had to be financially stable. And although I had opportunities then also to be an actor, but I was not very sure of myself. I was like, no, this looks very dodgy and the industry I don't know anybody. And I did get some opportunities, to be very honest, because I did some music videos then for Sonu Nigam and for Shan. And I was getting into films also, but I was like, yeah, but they keep coming and going. They tell you, yeah, you're signed, and then it's taken away, because some kid is being taken in. And nepotism was then, nepotism will always remain. There's no question about it. And it's okay because this is something I've accepted. And I was like, but right now I need to be financial. So I took dance because dance was making money for me. Fitness was making money for me. And I'll be very honest, I took up dance and fitness purely because I needed to be financially stable. Yes, I enjoyed it. But I had many other dreams where I said, let's keep that aside. Let's get financially stable. Let's find some way to, feel safe, because I do not have that luxury of being safe financially. I was born in a certain family that didn't have those kind of funding and resources. So I secure myself. And now that I'm secure, and now that I'm creatively satisfied with my shows, where once I set the show, I don't need to travel with the show because my job is done. Manchester is a world premiere, which is happening from the 5th to the 7th of April to the 11th of April in Manchester. 7th of May to 11th of May. April is gone. So it's the first world premiere. And once that job is done, then, it will travel by its own. It will travel all over the world. And I would want to go to the next project. And these projects are generally 2 or 3 months long. But in between, I would love to also judge shows and also, shoot as an actor, because I have signed a film. I'm really looking forward to shoot with it. Yeah.
Oh,
as an actor. Yeah. As an actor, as a villain. So as a negative role. Yeah.
Oh,
so it's, completely different from who I am as a person.
बन के villain बन रहे थे, अब film आके villain बोलोगे, वाह भाई क्या बात है, not bad.
As an actor, I think I don't want to box myself. It's not that I'm looking for a good role, and I'm looking for something that allows me to show my talent. I don't want to play myself. I don't want to play a teacher or a choreographer or a dancer, because that's too predictable and that's been seen. I want to kind of explore myself as an actor and not a dancer and performer. I mean, unfortunately, in Bollywood films, there's always a little bit of dance, so that will always help. But I would definitely want to see myself in different character roles. Yeah.
And art hota hai, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it'll be very poetic to see you actually coming as a guest promoting your film on a reality show. I think it'll literally just be like, literally life has come a full circle.
Full circle.
It'll be really cool.
That'll be fun.
It would be really fun. But I think it's so wonderful, and I think, Terence, music and dance has been literally an integral part of our culture, a part of the Indian culture. And I think the way you've really expanded yourself in terms of your caliber and the artistic sort of perspectives you bring to shows and into every aspect of life, I think it's so, so wonderful and enriching to hear. And I wish you all the very best for The Accountants and now this film that you've signed as well. I can't wait to chat to you more about it, hopefully near the time of release or whenever it's all announced.
I just need everybody who's listening for their prayers, because it's such an important move for me and started so late in my career, because nobody starts at, I'm the good side of 40. So nobody starts an acting career then, but there's never say never. And if the prayers are there and if the opportunities are there, things will happen. Let it flow. I'm just letting the universe show me the way. Willing
mean,
to work hard. Yeah.
I mean, look at Neena ji. I mean, Badai Ho came to her after so many years, and that was after
Yes.
one tweet she had put out.
Yeah.
Thinking maybe a actor who koi mujhe kam please dega.
But you have to. There's a big difference. She is already was very acclaimed as an actor in her heydays. It's like me asking for a job as a choreographer 20 years later, which is different.
That's actually true. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is a different. It's a very different thing to ask. It's like a shift of not career, choosing another career. Not like you're leaving another career. I still love to judge. I still love to perform. I still love to choreograph for shows like this. But I also want to explore. I don't think we can be. I feel there's so much to me, and I think I would like to get opportunities to show that. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, look, sending all the positive wishes towards you. But thank you so much, Terence. It's been such a pleasure. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए.
Thank you, Anuj. Thank you, Anuj, and God bless. Take care. Cheers. Bye.